Hey guys, it's Jason with the Board Game Mechanics, and today we're going to take a look at a game called Bee Lives. We Only Know Summer. Bee Lives is a 1 to 4 player game where you're kind of simulating the life of a bee. So from spring through winter, kind of what a bee hive goes through and the enemies they have to fight and the other beehives that they have to fight. And you're doing this over a course of some worker placement actions. You're going out to forage for resources. You're using resources to feed new babies that are going to be brooding. You're hiring new queens. You're cleaning your hive to make sure you're clean. Yeah, it's a deep, complicated scientific game. So I'm not going to do it justice by talking about it. So let's go down the table and kind of see how it plays. All right, so here is Bee Lives. We Only Know Summer. Set up as a solo game. I'm only doing a solo game because there's a pile of stuff and it takes up a lot of table space. So this will give you a good overview. It's not going to be how to play the game through a whole game. It's just going to be essentially what each action does and a little quick overview. All right, so to get set up, each player is going to receive this board down here. It's their comb. They're going to start with 3 bees. They're going to put this little marker on space 11, so they'll have 10 empty spaces in their comb. They are going to get 2 cards that tell them what resources they can collect when they go to certain spaces. And they're going to get a turn order sequence that looks like this. It tells you all the steps in the turn and how they break down. And it's a pretty good little guide. And each player is going to pick a queen. There are 4 different queens. There is the hygienic queen, which lets you, when you go take some actions that would get you dirty, they help you not get dirty as quickly. There's the swarm queen, which I'll go into a little bit when we talk about swarming. There's, I'm not exactly sure what the name of them is, but this is the reproductive queen. It helps you have more babies with less pollen. And this one is the warrior queen. She helps you defend and attack other hives. So that's what all of them do. So you're also going to pick 1 queen that you would like to get started with, and just for the sake of ease of play, I'm going to take the hygienic queen. All right. Now let's go over the rest of the boards. This board right here is the wild hives. At some point during the game, these little wild hives are going to come out, and they're going to come out onto an existing tile that's in your little area where you're playing, and they're going to either attack you or give you another hive to attack and get honey and such. There's a score tracker, trying to see how many points you can get. And then here's the season tracker. There's going to be event cards for spring, summer, and fall. Each season is going to have 3 event cards. You're going to flip it. You're going to do what the card says. Sometimes it's good things, sometimes it's bad things, and so on and so forth. And it's going to come with these cool yellow dice. There's some D4s and a D6. And you're also going to get 1 bloom tile, which is going to look like this. You can see the little green icon at the bottom. Shows that it's the bloom tile. There's 4 different types of tiles. Let's see if I can find some real quick. There's bloom. There's wet, which has the little water droplets. You can see those right there. There is harvest, which are orange. So, I mean, it's pretty easy to tell what they are. And then there are wilt, which are yellow, and they look like that. And each tile goes with a corresponding season, and they produce better during certain seasons. But you're going to start out with a bloom tile, and you're going to put your little hive marker, which looks like this, on that tile. So we're getting started right there. All right. Now, there's also water cubes that look like that, look like little pandemic cubes. Pollen cubes. There is honey cubes. And there are extra bees in the supply for when we breed. All right. So now let's go through some of the actions here on this board. So first thing right here is Scout. That's going to let you draw 2 tiles out of the bag. You're going to see which one you want to keep, and you're going to place one next to an existing tile and put the other one in the bag. That's going to help you expand your territory for foraging and all that good stuff. There's requeen, which means you can change this queen with another queen that you don't have, but you'll skip that turn's brooding phase, I guess. There's cooling hive. Some of these event cards overheat the hive. So you have to make sure that you have water, at least a water on hand to cool 5 bees. If not, you're going to skip your brooding phase. Defend. This is where you're going to put bees to defend against wild hive attacks or other players. In this case, there aren't any other players, so I would put bees here to defend against other wild hives. Rob. Same thing, except this is on the offensive, so I would put bees here to go rob a wild hive. I may not get into all that in the overview, but just know that sometimes there's going to be times when you're going to fight a wild hive or they're going to fight you, because they have their own little AI automa card based on what season it is. They're going to do certain actions, which is kind of neat. All right, and then there is clean bees. When you take another action that I'll discuss here, you can get sick. That's what this little token on the board is. So every time you go out and foraging, unless you have the hygienic queen, you're going to have to move this up, and it can cause you to produce less baby bees as you go. And there is building wax. That's how you're going to expand your hive, your comb, so you can keep more bees and more goods in there. Next thing you can do is foraging. That's where you'll send a bee out to a space, and based on this card from the season and the tile is how many resources you have the ability to take back. You don't have to take all of that, but you can if you would like. All right, so the way a turn goes, I'm going to play through one turn kind of, and then we'll see. That should give you a gist of how it works. So the way the turn goes, on the very first turn of the game, you're going to skip all the brooding and all of that stuff because we haven't done anything. You're going to go straight to the event card. So you're going to flip a spring event card, and we're going to do what it says. So in this case, we're going to bloom tiles provide 1 additional honey when foraged. So that's a good one. So when I go to a tile like the one I start on with a little green icon in it, it's going to give me an extra honey. So I could possibly get 6 instead of 5. All right, next thing we're going to do is we're going to place our workers. You can place, you're going to basically, it's like standard worker placement stuff. You're going to take a bee and you're going to place it, and then if there was another player, it'd be the other player's turn. But since it's just me, it'll be my turn, because even if there were wild hives, they're dormant in spring, so there'd be 3 rounds where they don't even do anything. So we're just going to pretend like they don't exist right now. So first thing I want to do is I'm going to take a scout action. So I put 1 bee there. That's going to let me reach into the bag, grab 2 tiles. So I got a wet tile and a harvest tile. And I'm actually going to take the wet tile because it's a little more viable for right now. The harvest tile goes back in the bag. So now I have 2 areas where I can forage, which that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to send a bee out to my bloom tile that I started on, and I'm going to forage. So this is saying I can forage an additional honey. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to do it because I'm not going to take it out. I'm going to take 4 honey, and I'm going to take 3 pollen. All right, so there we go. And then for my last bee, I'm going to expand the comb. So I'm going to build some wax. I'll go down here. That's going to cost 1 bee and 2 honey. So I cash in 2 honey cubes that I have stored. And I get to slide this over to the next space. And that's going to help maybe make it so I don't swarm when I brood. And that's that. All right, so that was 1 turn. So then at the end of the turn, you're going to take all your bees back. So they'll all go back to their starting areas. If there was another player, you'd pass the first player marker. If there were wild hives, they'd all go back to the supply because they're only out for 1 month. Then, next thing we're going to do is we're going to find the official start of the turn sequence, starting in round 2, is what I'm going to do right now. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to find our number of eggs. So that's going to be the empty spaces that we have in our comb. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we could possibly hatch 6 bees. So I'm going to set these right here just so we remember that we could maybe hatch 6 bees. 5. All right, next thing we're going to do is we have to feed our bees. So 1 honey can feed 2 bees. That's what this 1 honey. I have 3 bees, so that's going to take 2 honey. So we discard that. Next, we are going to brood. Brood is hatching bees. Now, the way that works is we have a possibility to hatch 6 bees, but each bee takes 1 pollen. So really we can only do 3 bees. So we cash in 3 pollen. We bring the 3 bees down here, put them in our workers, and that was that. Next thing we have to do is make sure we don't swarm. There's a little number on this. It's in yellow. That's saying that if we have more than that many amount of bees, the hive gets too crowded and it swarms and it creates a wild hive. So in this case, we can have 6, and we have 6, so there's no harm there. Then, next thing we're going to do is we're going to flip a new event card. And it says, all tiles provide 1 additional water when forged. So normally, only wet tiles produce water, but in this case, every other tile will produce water. So let's go ahead and play through just another round. Oh, and I foraged, so this should be up 1. Okay, all wilt tiles provide 1 additional honey when foraged as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and do some scouting. I'm going to do some scouting. So we got a bloom tile and a bloom tile, so we're going to keep a bloom tile. Put that right there. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go foraging. So let's go to the bloom, and we're going to just collect a pile of stuff. We can collect 5 honey, 5 pollen, and 1 water because of the event. And we're going to take all that honey. We'll take 4 honey, and we're going to take 5 pollen. Maybe 4 pollen. Yeah, we'll take 4 pollen. All right. Then we're going to, let's see. Let's build some wax. Let's make this a little bigger. So that takes 2 honey. Next thing we're going to do, just so you can see some other actions, is we will clean. We'll go here. That moves us back down half, or up 1. We will go here. We'll requeen. No, we won't requeen. We'll scout again. So we're going to scout. Take 2 more tiles. I'm going to grab 3. So I have a harvest and a wilt. I'm going to keep the wilting because it's going to be good for summer. And then for the last one, I will go foraging again to bloom. And I'll take 3 honey. And that is it. And I have to move, I have the hygienic queen, so I only have to move this on its side to let me know that I don't go up to the next level. Next time I'll go up to the next level. All right, so that's the end of that round. We're going to bring all of our workers back. Then hopefully we can get a swarm in on this one so you guys can see how that works. All right, so we have this. All right, I'm going to set this back up because I used my ability already. Okay. Then we're going to return all wild hive markers if there were some. We're going to find our number of eggs so we can have 3 eggs. Okay. Then, so let's get these out so we know we can have 3 eggs. Okay. Then we're going to feed our bees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we need 3 honey. Okay. Then we're going to hatch bees. So we can hatch 3 bees. So we will pay the pollen. Put our 3 new bees on here. All right, so now we have 6, 8, 9 bees, and we can only have 6. All right, so what this means is we're going to swarm. So the way swarming works is, that basically means we have too many bees for the size of our hive. So in this case, we're going to remove half the bees rounded down. So we would get rid of 4, we would keep 5. It's going to create and half of our honey. It's going to create a wild hive, which will be this guy, the apple. And it's going to go on an adjacent tile. So since we're in bloom, we'll put it on wilt. So it's going to shut that off from foraging, and it's also going to make it so they can attack us. But not yet because we're still in spring. Then we have to either get rid of get a new queen, or keep a queen, but we can't brood next time. Or we can move to a different comb, but I'm not going to do that because I have a bigger comb, so I'll just leave it. And then the hive has the power equal to how many bees I lost, so we lost 4, so that hive has a strength of 4. So that's where this little clear marker is going to come in, and it'll mark how strong that is. So that's going to come into play when they attack and when they defend. And then we would flip another event. And then it's just saying when we forage, we have to roll a die, and maybe some more wild hives will come into play. So now, starting in summer, if there was still a wild hive on the board, it would be at my turn, then we would do the wild hive action based on scenario. So if we're overheating, we'll do the top one. If not, we'll just go down the list. And it's just going to make the game tougher, make it more stuff to battle and to fight us and just get in the way. And we're going to do that over spring, summer, and fall. And then in winter time, we're going to do a different round, which looks like this at the bottom. I don't know if you can see that with the glare. Yeah. So we basically have to feed our bees 3 times. It'll take 1 honey for every 3 bees. And we're going to get, if we can do that 3 times, we're going to get 1 point for every bee we have left and 1 point for every honey we have left. And if this marker is down where it says -1, we'd have to kill a bee every time. So in order to win the game, you have to have 1 bee left. So you can do that over 1 year, which is a normal game, or you can play a variant where you play over 2 years. And then you just do it like you did it for summer and fall. But the wild hives are active in the second spring. So that is Bee Lives. Not every rule. I didn't show you any of the AI, but you just follow the card, you do what it says. It's pretty self-explanatory, and there's some good rules in the updated rule book about how all that goes down. So that's Bee Lives. Let's go up to the top and see what we think about it. So that was Bee Lives. This is a fun game. I gotta admit though, the first round of the rule book that I had, I could not figure this game out just because, well, one, I don't know a lot about what bees do during the hive upkeep and the different seasons. And 2, it just wasn't, the way it was laid out wasn't clicking for me. But I got an update of the rule book which spelled it out much more clearly, and I was able to follow through, and I got to enjoy the goodness that is this game. The thing I like about this game is you actually feel like you are in the beehive. So you feel like you're getting threatened by wild hives. You feel like you have to go attack the wild hives to, you know, protect the rest of your bees and your queen, and you're trying to make sure you have enough honey to go around for the wintertime so that when you're not out foraging, you can still eat and survive. It's a fun game. I'm sure my playthrough didn't do it justice, but you got a taste of it and you can see just the depth that this game has. And it's all done through like a worker placement and tile placement, card, event, action, selection, mechanic. It's not simple to follow because that little turn order card that you have is amazing and spells it all out, but it's deep. It's tricky to know, do I need to clean my hive now? Do I need to go forage? Do I need to scout to get more places to go? Should I defend myself against wild hives? Yeah. And then you only have a certain amount of bees. It's tricky. It's complicated. It's very fun. I like it. I can't wait to get a full version of this game because this was a prototype and it already has amazing components and bits, and yeah, it's exceptional. So yeah, that was Bee Lives. We only know summer. I definitely recommend going and picking it up if you can find a copy. I think there's going to be a Kickstarter happening here shortly. If so, I'll put a link in the description once that starts, so you can just click there and go find out more, maybe back this game. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the review and keep gaming.